Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Challenge podcast. This is the episode 9, Game Week 7 review and preview show. How are you, Leighton? And hello.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a good weekend, pretty average fantasy wise, but a good fantasy week ahead, hopefully, and Champions League tomorrow, so excited for that. All right, in today's show, we're going to be talking about Game Week 6 and discuss some of the results that happened over the weekend. Once again, look at some stats for both teams and players. Look at fixtures for the next couple of weeks and then a bit further into the future. And then the usual predictions, transfer plans, and captaincy. Let's go on. Game week 6, Leighton, you got 51 points. Tell us about your game week.
Yeah, I got 51 points, which I'm not too upset about because I captained Ronaldo. So I got a huge 4 points from my captain. I had Antonio up front, so he got me 8 points. Traore got me a single point. Fantastic. Salah got 7 points. He was the person I was looking to captain for most of the week, and I changed it to Ronaldo. Jota got 7 points. And Saka, the Arsenal player, wasn't expecting this. He was my main man, got me 13 points. In defense, Trent got me a single point. Shaw came home with nothing, absolutely nothing. And then Markel for Wolves got me 6 points, which was quite nice, and he didn't even play the full game. Livramento with 2 points, and I think Sanchez with 2 points too.
Yeah, you did get 2 points. One of those was a bonus point at the end, so it could have been more.
Could have been.
You definitely were saved by Saka in the end. I think after Saturday's games, your outlook for the game week was pretty bleak, right?
Yeah, so bleak. I checked and I was on, I think I was like on 27 points. And, my captain had played, Salah had played, Jota, and I thought, oh my days, this is not going well. And then Saka, I put my hopes on him and he did great. Fantastic game by Saka and all of Arsenal, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a good. Your differential punt out of your midfielders kid did well this week. Traore is the only one that hasn't done well, to be fair. And on your bench, you had Alan, who got himself 6 points as well. So if only Shaw just, didn't play at all, it would have been nice.
Yeah, it's a shame that Shaw played. And how long did he play for? 20 minutes?
Not long at all. Yeah, he got booked
Not long at all.
and then he went off.
And he was off.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0 points. 1 point from Trent as well. So
You must be pretty happy with the transfer from you were deciding between Bamford and DCL to Antonio, right? And then you ended up choosing DCL.
yeah, I went with DCL in the end over to Antonio. I was pretty happy with that, and he returned 8 points. And I didn't. I decided to take no more hits. At one point, I was considering moving Saka on, and I'm glad I didn't.
Thank goodness. And now you're left with basically this week you need to decide what you want to do with Bamford, most likely, right?
Yeah, Bamford's definitely one of the key players at the moment. If I move him on, I was also considering getting the Newcastle striker Saint. What's his name?
Saint Maximin.
Saint Maximin. Yeah, because he's excellent at the moment. He's really good, and he's so cheap. So he's definitely also a consideration moving forward. I think we'll get to talk about that a bit more later.
We definitely will. My game
Talk
week.
about your game week.
Yeah, my game week was pretty average, but not a bad one overall. 52 points. I captained Salah. I made no moves this week, so I opted to save my transfer. My one issue was whether Rafinha was going to be fit for the game, and I took a risk and played him, and thankfully he scored. My team, just for those listening, Sanchez got 2, Shaw, Trent, Semedo got 6, Benrahma, very unlucky not to get a goal and an assist. Salah with a goal, very unlucky, he didn't get more than that as well. Rafinha, Jota got a goal finally, Antonio with his last minute winner, and Dennis scraping with 1 point, good for him, and Lukaku with two. Not too unhappy with that, considering the fact that City outplayed us entirely. So, yeah, that was my game week.
Yeah, it was quite scary when you see Man City get into fifth gear. They just seem to play teams off the park. But for those fans, it must be annoying because when it was a Champions League final, it just didn't do that. So, I mean, I think you prefer this loss than the Champions League final.
Of course, it's definitely a positive that we managed to play well when it counts, but at the same time, this is a new season and would have liked to have performed better at home against City. So the fact that they
But on
just
the other side,
dominated us.
they, but you only conceded one goal.
True, but we also didn't create much. But that, to be fair, that isn't that bad considering City's defensive stats, which I'll show you a bit later. It's quite incredible considering it's 6 weeks in. But yeah, going into game week 7, now I have two free transfers, and the idea is to either use two this week or one this week and then two next week, and maybe even three next week to take a hit. And potentially then I can avoid playing my wild card because I know many people will be. And yeah, could potentially save that for later in the season, which will be perfect, specifically around Christmas when everyone else is worrying about rotation.
Yeah, it's a good plan if you can hold on to it until then. I had to use my wild card much earlier, and so far, no regrets. It's going okay.
For me,
I mean, by the yeah, go on.
the only possible regret I may have had so far is maybe saying that it probably may have been the better option to go with Ronaldo until now, because I must admit it's horrific watching United games not owning him and knowing that like half the game owns him and has captained him. So thankfully, this past weekend, Chelsea and United played at the same time, so I could just ignore United for a game. But I'm not going to enjoy watching Everton this weekend, for example.
Yeah, and also I think having Ronaldo as the captain on this weekend was also annoying because Manchester United get a last-minute penalty, and you're just thinking this is perfect. This is the script, right? Ronaldo comes, scores a 94th minute penalty, and then you you see Fernandez with the ball. And you're like, oh no, he's gonna score. And then he missed it, which is even worse. Like if he scored it, I would have been like, okay, whatever. They missed it. So as a Ronaldo, well, someone who captained Ronaldo, I was very disappointed.
Did you see Martinez trying to get into Fernandez's head before he took the penalty?
No,
As he was putting the ball down, and they had like all the players crowding
right.
around Bruno and the ref, and Martinez, the goalkeeper, was
Mm.
there. He was shouting out loud and pointing at Ronaldo, saying, "You should take it. You should take it." And then obviously Bruno's there to take it and converts his rugby penalty.
Yeah, that was a good rugby penalty, mate.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take
Like
the next
Owen
one though.
Farrell-esque. Yeah, probably. That's a shame about Ronaldo as well that yeah, he's not guaranteed penalty taker.
Although, let's move
But
on.
you know that Ronaldo is probably going to score more than he doesn't. So
Yeah,
it's just one game.
for sure. He's a stats monster, so the more attempts you take, the better chance you are of
Yeah.
scoring.
Stat monster and his price is just ballooned as well in just a
It
couple of game weeks,
it
which is
has.
also great if you own Ronaldo. If you don't own Ronaldo, more difficult.
It just makes it more difficult to get him, and to be fair, it just helps me not get him because I wasn't planning on getting him. So now I can at least say, look, I can't afford him even if I tried. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it just helps me in that sense. Did you watch any of the
Like with me,
United
if
game?
I I just watched the highlights of the United game, and it's just so interesting because Manchester United have been playing so well, reasonably well. And then Aston Villa come out. I know Aston Villa had a good win last week, but I'm really impressed by Aston Villa. I'm shocked. I didn't expect that
No,
at all.
it's surprising. Like, just as a casual viewer, I wouldn't have assumed that they were playing that well. Like, they started the season very badly, and
Mm,
you could probably liken it in a sense to Arsenal in a way. They had similar bad starts, and then over the last 2 or 3 weeks since the international break, they've been getting slightly better, under the radar to an extent. And yeah, then they've pulled off the win this week.
pretty good.
You've mentioned that you're considering getting rid of Shaw, as am I, but that was always the plan, and he's just helping us with the fact that he's injured and not scoring points.
Yeah, he's been probably one of the more disappointing players in my team. He's one of the ones that survived my wildcard draft as well. And so for him to have done absolutely nothing, for Manchester United not to have kept a clean sheet so far is very worrying. And as a short owner with his injury, I'm pretty sure he's gone this week for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Greenwood played pretty well as well, but a lot of the attack is filtering through Ronaldo, so I'm not too tempted by any of them anymore at the moment, with their fixtures turning as well.
That's why I'm happy to keep just Ronaldo. I feel if they score a goal, it's potentially through Ronaldo. So
Hmm.
he's the only player at the moment that I want from Manchester United.
Are you considering any Villa players?
You know, I was considering it after seeing that they beat Manchester United. They've had a good run. They beat Crystal Palace, but I'm not sure. It's one of the Aston Villa. They're on the radar, but right now I'm not sure. They're not in my immediate plans. None of their players, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll look at the fixtures just now, but I think at the next two games I think are a bit tough, but then they have a very good long stretch of good games, and if they're going to be defensively good like they were last season, plus the additions that they've made this year, which they've seemingly starting to gel with, I think they might be a very good team to hop onto. For those who are looking to get rid
Yeah.
of either Leeds defensive players who are trash, let's be honest, and Wolves midfielders maybe that aren't doing well. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. Chelsea and Man City, I'm assuming you didn't see any of this besides maybe the goal.
Yeah, just saw some highlights again.
Man City, very good. Defensively, insane. But Chelsea, they didn't play that badly, to be fair. They were just outplayed. That's all it was. And yeah, can't complain. They are the two teams that I'm
Yeah, once
targeting.
Man City, yeah, Man City in top gear. I think it's difficult to ignore Man City's defensive players as well, and some of their players seem to have got the minutes locked in. And so, but now with Champions League starting, that's definitely going to be something to watch. But very tempted by some Man City defenders and Chelsea.
For sure. And I guess in hindsight, it's good that it didn't get Reece James because he went off injured again. So we have to wait and
Yeah,
see how long he's out for. But there's still a lot of other options there. Alonso, who's basically a second striker, Rudiger, or Aspilicueta as well. All very good chances or defenders. And then from City, again, Cancelo, Diaz, Laporte, all very good options. But we'll get into them
yeah.
just now.
Diaz is doing very well.
He is. Everton and Norwich, I didn't watch that game. I think. Oh, wait, I saw the penalty. So I saw Alan win the penalty. But besides that, I didn't watch it. I think we both predicted that this would be the result. There's no way I would have predicted
Yeah,
anything other than a Norwich loss. So, yeah,
just nothing. It just looks like Norwich. The league is too difficult for them. Everton have players missing. They're just going through the motions. They still win 2-0. It's quite comfortable. And avoid every Norwich player that you can.
I will say that someone who's going a bit under the radar at Everton is Decore. He scored
Mm.
the second goal and he's been playing consistently well. I think he's played 90 minutes in every game and he's scoring some goals. He kind of reminds me of Yaya Toure, who used to be at Arsenal. I mean, Man City, my bad. similar player.
Well, you say he's gone under the radar, but when I was doing my wild card, I was torn between him and Traore, and I went the wrong way.
Yeah,
So,
it's unfortunate, but
yeah,
he's been performing well. Him and Gray, I think, and most people are attracted to Gray because he's the winger who's usually getting more chances. But I think Decore could do well because he's playing for Benitez in his defensive sound system.
yeah, that could be good.
Leeds, Leeds and West Ham. I watched this game entirely, hoping to see goals, and thankfully I did. It was a bit frustrating in the first 10 minutes because there was a passage of play where Antonio had teed up Ben Rama, and Ben Rama had narrowly missed. And then within 2 minutes after that, Ben Rama teed up Antonio, and the Leeds keeper made a miraculous save. So on another day, that would have been just bliss for West Ham owners. I mean, for me as well, because I had both. But in the end, happy to get an Antonio goal for sure.
Yeah, it's damage control for me when I see Benrahma has just narrowly missed or Antonio has just missed and he would have been the assist. I always think, oh, good, good.
I think if Bamford had played, this game may have been a bit different in terms of the
Yeah,
result, perhaps. But Leeds, they always attack, like regardless of how bad their defense is at the moment, they still went for it, and they did very well. Rafinha finished very well too. So it's a bit tough because I think at the moment they've got issues with Ailing. Rafinha's still kind of have a knock, and Bamford. So even though they have good fixtures, I wouldn't be bringing them in yet until I know for sure that those players are okay. And if you have them, I would say wait and see. But if there's a chance to get better players like the Chelseas and the Man Cities, I would probably dump him immediately, to be fair.
yeah, for sure. I think Leeds as well, they're having such a difficult time this season. And like you just mentioned with all the injuries, it's very difficult.
Leicester and Burnley, this was quite an exciting game for Jamie Vardy in particular, who got himself a hat trick. Not the kind that he would want,
Hat trick in the wrong way. Yeah.
but yeah, he got himself two and then an own goal. And I mean, he's typical Jamie Vardy. This season, Leicester have been trash, right? Pretty bad overall. And they're not changing anything, which makes no sense. But Vardy is still somehow, I think he's the second top scorer in the game, despite that.
He's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's Vardy party, man. He brings the
yeah.
points.
Would you consider him?
Oh, I mean, I don't think my budget can stretch to Ronaldo and Vardy up front. Unless my third striker, I got someone really cheap like Dennis. And some players are doing that, I hear. But I definitely consider him when Leicester have. I think if Leicester's form picks up, especially, and they have a good run of fixtures, I definitely consider him because he's a brilliant player. Who wouldn't want Vardy in their team?
He's a decent option. Like, there's a lot of people who are trying to get the Lukaku, Ronaldo, and Salah in their teams, right? So I think for
Yeah,
those, and most drafts, when you try and make that team, you end up sacrificing so much everywhere else. But if you get Vardy, who's, let's say you go Ronaldo and Vardy and Salah, that saves you a good like 1.5 million. Then you can use that somewhere else. Or you get Lukaku and Vardy, and that saves you 2.5 million. So he could be a good option for those who want to be different. But yeah, not me.
yeah. I think going too far away from the template as well. Then bringing Vardy in, you're going to have to make other sacrifices in the team, and unless you have a wild card. If you're on a wild card or something, then I'd definitely consider it. If I was bringing in Lukaku instead of Ronaldo, I would definitely consider Salah, Lukaku, and Vardy up front. But then I'd have to consider ditching Antonio.
Yes, yeah, that would be the case. Although, though there was someone last week who mentioned that maybe it would be a good time to take a punt on a third striker, like Aubameyang or Vardy. So could
Yeah,
work.
but
Um,
Vardy's a good one.
he is. Watford and Newcastle. I didn't watch this game, but annoyingly, I saw that Saar scored again for Watford. So damn him.
Yeah, damn him! Why does he keep scoring? I think we both predicted this would be a 1-1 or something miserable, right?
I think I did as well. I hoped for
Yeah,
Dennis to score a goal, but he was a bit unlucky in that sense. You must be definitely considering Saar, perhaps, in midfield.
yeah, yeah. Definitely considering. So it's just. But as soon as I get him in, nothing will happen.
You just need to check the fixtures, but I think he's the kind of player that you wouldn't mind just keeping him because he's their star player, so you know he's going to play, and unless he's injured, that's the only time he won't play. So if anything's going to happen, it's going to be through him.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Saint
and if
Maximin looks
that's
good.
a good point, if anything is to happen, because it's Watford and it is a big if,
Definitely. Saint Maximin
and then
got
this is the
three bonus
surprise
points.
of the weekend.
Oh, the second result,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The next result. This was a shocker.
Again, yeah, I watched this because I was my captain, and what a game! It was such a nice game as a neutral. Brentford played out of their skins. Did you watch it?
I went to sleep because South Korea time zones,
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow, Liverpool are up. I'm gonna sleep. And also, it was annoying because Ronaldo had just done so badly, and I was so like, oh, you know what, Salah's gonna go bang 2 or 3 goals. I'm just gonna go to sleep. I wake up, it's 3-3. I was like, what on earth? So Jota's scored, Salah scored. So in the end, it wasn't bad for me. But Brentford, man, they're a bit of a surprise this season, eh?
most definitely. Their attacking players connect so well with each other. I forgot how to say his name. Mbermo, I think that's how you say it. Mbermo and Tony link up very well. Yeah, and Tony, he's not scoring that much, but he links up their play so well. And I think at his price, he might be arguably the best 6 point something striker. Again, as I mentioned about Saar, he's their star player. If something's going to happen, he's usually the guy who's going to facilitate it. So going forward, once their fixtures start turning, we'll see when we get to the stats. He's doing very well there as well. So could be worth
Yeah,
getting.
he's come up from the championship, and I think he's doing really well as well. He's flying. Just doesn't have the goals yet, but I think it's inevitable. If they keep doing well, the form's good. He's gonna bag some goals.
Yeah, and Liverpool once again just being Liverpool, goal scoring machines. On another day, they'd have scored seven, but yeah, good result overall. The boring game of the weekend was, or one of the boring games was Southampton Wolves. I watched this game too because I was scouting a few
Mm,
players, and Jimenez got his first goal this season. Happy for him, his first goal since his injury
yeah,
last year. So good for him. Nothing from Traore though, unfortunately. He didn't even start. That
yeah.
makes
It
it
was
worse.
bitter. It was yeah, it was bittersweet because it's nice to see a player who was seriously injured come back, score a goal. Feels like finally he's back on the score sheet, but unfortunately, none of my players are helping out with these goals.
I mean, at least you got the clean sheet, right? That's
Yeah,
the one positive.
the one silver lining to my Wolves.
And that's, if you think about it, you've had Marcel for 3 weeks now, and he got you
Mm,
13 points in his first week. I think zero last week, and then
very.
six this past week. So, I mean, that's like basically six and a bit points per game since then, which is great for his price,
Yeah, he's not doing too badly at all.
thankfully. Unlike a certain team that is doing very badly at the moment, Arsenal 3, Spurs 1. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Watching this is like watching the Arsenal of 2004 or a Spurs just that bad. that it makes Arsenal just look so good. The passing was immense, man.
It Yeah, it was really weird to watch because when I saw Son was fit and Kane was rearing to go as well, I thought after we pumped him last week, right? I think so. Um, I thought that they would bounce back, and I think they won in midweek too in the Carabao Cup. So I thought, yeah, they're up for this derby, and within like 10 minutes, Arsenal were just cutting through them. I thought, oh, this is not going to end well, and yeah, they did amazingly.
Yeah, that game started off brilliant. Saka assist, oh, wonderful, and then a Saka goal as well. So for me, my differential has paid off, and I have a feeling he's going to get into many teams in the coming weeks. I think many people will probably jump on Saka. Um, but it's so interesting to see Tottenham Hotspur with Kane. Kane just, I don't think he's mentally there, is he? At
No,
Tottenham.
I don't think
Just
so.
doesn't look like he tried to get back and make the tackle on Saka for Saka's goal, and it was abysmal.
He gave the
And
ball
Son
away
Heung-min,
for that goal.
yeah, he fell
Yeah,
over and then he couldn't tackle. But Son Heung-min, I can't understand how this man signed a contract with Tottenham only of a month. He should be on a better team, man. He should easily be in Man City or Chelsea, Manchester United. He deserves better.
he does. I think Spurs fully expected to lose Kane in the summer, and when they priced Kane out of a move, then obviously that suits them, but it kind of stuffed them up as well because okay, Son's committed long term, which is good if they're going to use the Kane money to buy other players, but now they've got Kane who's basically sulking. He's trying to be a pro, obviously, but eh, we know he's not the Kane of old. He is moving out of his prime, so just let him move. Come on.
Especially Levy is probably watching, thinking, "Wow, we could have had 100 million for this player, and next season, what are they going to get? Nothing."
I'm not sure. I think he might leave in January, personally.
It's a shame for those Spurs fans as well, because last year Gareth Bale was in the squad. Tottenham were flying, right? You had Harry Kane, Son Heung-min, link up was incredible, and now they started the season well, and now it just looks abysmal.
They're playing very defensive football and they're having issues scoring goals. It's not helping that they're not gelling very well with their creativity. There's a lot of things. I think that Nuno could be out of a job very soon because obviously Levy isn't going to fall on his own sword and accept that he made a mistake because he stuffed it up by making not the bad decision, but he was non-committal when it came to deciding which manager to appoint in the preseason anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, they're just going to keep Nuno for as long as they can until they decide, okay, let's just bunt him and then get the next guy in.
yeah, I agree with that.
The more I
I
think,
think it's a shame.
yeah, the more I think about it and looking at how good City are this season, can you imagine if Kane just joins them in January? Again, it's like they're already playing so well. They're going to create so many chances. He won't need to try as hard. They're going to put the ball in front of him and he's going to score a million goals.
Yeah, I can't imagine him leaving in January at
Really?
all. I just can't see Levy I can't see Levy accepting that. He's like, you play, you're my player. Because Spurs will be doing terrible, right?
Mm.
They'll want a player who can score goals, and I'm like, just Kane, just stay.
I can see them. I can see City definitely giving a player or two of theirs and money. So, I know Bernardo Silva wants to leave City, apparently. So I think he might be included. Maybe even Sterling, for that matter. Who knows? So if you're going to put that on the table for Levy to consider, I think you'll at least listen to it.
Yeah, for Sterling and money potentially.
Mm. But anyway, final game of the weekend was Palace and Brighton. Brighton relatively lucky to get a point. Palace played very well, looking very good under Vieira, must admit. And did you see the Brighton goal at the end?
No, I was reading about the penalty at the end, and then I saw the interview, and I haven't watched it yet, but it looked to be quite controversial. Go on, fill me in.
It was a very good game, very good goal at the end. It was a last
Yeah.
minute, uh, last second, I should say, goal kick from Palace. Palace kicked the ball straight up the field, and the ball fell to a Brighton defender who, with his first touch, lobbed the ball over the defence. And Mopé ran onto it, and with his first touch, lobbed the keeper and scored with what was essentially the final kick of the game. Crazy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you see me clearly? Just want to make sure.
Absolutely. You look wonderful as ever on my
Okay,
end.
good. You're looking a bit grainy, but I'm assuming it's just the connection.
Oh, I mean, I'm just a sidekick.
It's okay, it works. Anyway,
No one cares.
no one cares what we look like. They're going to listen to us anyway.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. All right. So, quick look at defensive stats. The top defender is doing very well over the season. Once again, not much changing here. Trent, Ritchie, Cancelo, Alonso, and Laporte all at the top. Semedo is also there. And at the bottom of that list, we see players like Ricardo Pereira, Janssen from Brentford, Soufal from West Ham, Shaw, Saiss, those five defenders. And we both have Shaw and I have Soufal. So in terms of creativity, there we should be looking at potentially getting one of those top ones, perhaps, as we mentioned.
Yeah, Richie is a very interesting one with Newcastle. Uh, would you be willing to put him in your team? 5 million, not too expensive.
It isn't, but it's weird. What are their fixtures looking like at the moment?
Let's have a look. Hold on. Newcastle.
Newcastle, they have Wolves, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Brighton. So it's kind of tough, right? Wolves are being very good defensively of late. Spurs, who knows? Crystal Palace have been very good too. Chelsea are great defensively, and Brighton are good defensively too. So on paper, those last few games have been very good for them, I think. But for me, probably wouldn't go for them right now. What about you?
Yeah, me too. I'm looking at the fixtures and I'm just remembering Newcastle, how they play. No,
Yes.
I'm okay.
And I mean, now that we've looked at the fixtures there for Newcastle, that's the same reason why I
Yeah,
wouldn't go for St. Maximan as well, because they're playing against good
yeah,
defenses over the next 5 games. Good,
yeah.
sh-
There's some really good defenses, eh? But
good
he's a good
short
player,
term.
man.
Yeah, good short term punt. But if you're
Yeah,
going to wild card, but if you're not going to, then I wouldn't have him.
yeah. Alonso is the player that screams out to me as a replacement for Shaw. He, like you've already said, he's like a second attacking player for Chelsea, right?
Yeah,
Chelsea get a lot of clean sheets. He seems to be getting a lot of minutes. With James's injury, I think Alonso is probably that next best Chelsea player to go get.
it does seem that way, and I would tend to agree. But with Champions League happening now, and with the cups as well, Ben Chilwell played in the Carabao Cup last week, and we play Juventus, I think, tomorrow night in the Champions League
Yeah.
away. So I would wait to see whether Alonso or Chilwell starts in tomorrow's game, and then I would assume that the opposite player starts on the weekend. So I mean, you'd you'd be okay long term with whichever choice you made, but if you want him for this specific game this weekend, then I would wait and see.
Yeah, this week I'm definitely going to be waiting longer than a couple of weeks ago.
I think
I
the
got burnt with that.
the safe option this week from Chelsea would be Rudiger. He's not on
Yeah.
this list, but he's 5.5. I think he's about 5.6 now. But He's played every minute, and at centre back, we don't really rotate too much. So he might be a good option too.
He's just a
Or,
clean sheet machine, isn't he?
yeah, and he scored at the weekend or 2 weeks ago as well. But at the same time, at the City defenders, same thing.
Hmm.
Cancelo, he's basically like Alonso. He's attacking, and his only issue is that he might get rotated. However, Laporte and Ruben Diaz are those consistent players who play 90 minutes every week. I would say Diaz more than Laporte. So
Yes.
it's just a case of who do you want to get? Do you want to get a Chelsea defender this week and a City defender the week after, or do you want to do it the other way around? So it depends on your team situation. And maybe I can help you decide which one to do now because looking at this table that I've added, which just shows the defensive stats for shots conceded this season. And so this is like when teams play against these teams. And look at the team right at the bottom circle there. Manchester City this season in 6 games, they have only conceded 5 shots on target. 6 games.
Monsters. That's it's insane, man.
That's considering that they've played Tottenham, Chelsea. Did they play Arsenal? I can't remember.
Yeah, they did. They did. They won 5-1. There was that red card, wasn't it? Or 5-0?
That sounds right. Yeah.
In this, yeah, they played Arsenal like the second or third game. They did play Arsenal.
And they've conceded 5 shots. Not even goals, shots. It's insane.
Yeah, Man City fullback wouldn't be a worst decision in the world.
The other good defensive teams, though, as well, that aren't conceding many shots are Brighton, 15, Brentford, 17, Liverpool, 18, and look there, Aston Villa, 19, also doing very well.
Yeah.
So,
It's a shame Manchester United have only had 21 shots and they've conceded a bunch of goals.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you compare the shots on target to the goals that they concede, which is 2 columns to the left, then you can see
Yeah.
the true reflection of how good the defense is. Like, if you look at Chelsea above them, also conceded 21 shots, yet they've only conceded 2 goals. So for every 11 shots, they concede 1 goal, as opposed to United, for every 5 shots, they concede a goal. Big
Yeah.
difference.
Big difference.
Anyway, next we look at let's move on to midfielders. Midfielders season XGI, again, the Liverpool juggernaut, top 3 players, Salah, Mane, Jota, right up there. Fernandes still doing well statistically despite missing his penalty. And then, believe it or not, we have the Crystal Palace duo, Gallagher and Zaha. Surely we must consider them as serious players now.
Yeah, especially Gallagher, his price at 5.7, he's so affordable. And Saha, I think Saha most seasons is overlooked. He does well. He always does well. So, and Crystal Palace, I think you already mentioned, they're doing really well under Vieira,
They
which
are.
is something I did not expect. I didn't expect it this season. I thought Vieira would have a really tough job with this Crystal Palace team, but they seem to be doing really well.
I think, again, the big choice here is whether you want to replace your fourth midfielder, which would be like a 6 to 7 million midfielder, which then you'd probably get Zaha. But if you need to save
Yeah,
money, you'd get Gallagher,
you go Gallagher.
and
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind benching him because you'd use that extra money in maybe getting Lukaku or a double up on City and Chelsea in defense, maybe. But he's a good bench player to come on for sure.
He's definitely is. I mean, Jota's so I always call him Jota. I think it's the Korean. Jota is good. So Jota is so frustrating to own. It's one of those ones I want to just axe him and be like, "No, you're out my team. Get out. Wasting my time." Come on, Gallagher, can I?
But yeah, looking at the rest of that list, we have Brentford, Mbermo's in there as well, and Saar, again, the talisman of his team. Once again, Rafinha, again, doing very well. At the bottom of that list, though, we have our 2 players. We have Torres and Traore, who I think a lot of people are considering to sell. But at the same time, these stats aren't too bad, considering that they haven't played 90 minutes per game the last few weeks. What do you think?
The problem with Traore for me is that he's had 6 games, he hasn't scored, hasn't had an assist, and that's worrying because Wolves statistically they should have scored by now, and he should have scored. He should have got an assist, and nothing is happening. Whilst you got the likes of Gallagher up above, who's getting these points returned, and he's less money. So and Saar as well. Well, Saar's a little more expensive, but he's in the price bracket though. It's in
Yeah.
that price range. So, yeah, having Traore is very frustrating.
For me, it's been a bit of a waiting game because I have Torres, and I knew that we were gonna play Chelsea this week, and this week they play Liverpool. So I knew I was likely not gonna play him, and this week I probably won't either. But the idea is that again, if I'm trying to avoid wildcarding in game week 8, then there's no point in me selling a City midfielder when they play. I think it's Burnley, Brighton, and Crystal Palace for 3 games come game week 8. So for the moment, my team, I don't mind benching him because I think that City will rotate at some stage. And the fact that he didn't start 2 weeks ago, and he didn't play at all this past game week. So I'm fully expecting him to play come those easy games because I think De Bruyne will play up front against Liverpool on the weekend. So I'm hoping he can come good. I'm hoping my patience rewards me. Hoping. Fingers crossed.
I've had a lot of patience with a lot of players, Chairman, and it doesn't get rewarded.
True. And let's move on to forwards. Forwards, we again for the season, Antonio right up top there. He's still a stats monster, and Jamie Vardy, as we mentioned earlier, second place. Ronaldo doing well too, and then Ivan Toney, surprisingly, Lukaku, Calvert-Lewin, and Jesus, as well as Jimenez and Mopé. You have Ronaldo and who else? Antonio, right?
Antonio and Bamford,
And
but Bamford
Bamford.
is injured.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a good conversation. Let's look at Bamford. If you're considering selling Bamford, who of this list do you think tempts you the most?
Well, actually, the one, I feel like I'm yo-yoing between players, but one of the players that I was considering it's between Saint Maximin and Tony because they're much cheaper,
Mm,
and I can't afford Vardy. I can't afford Lukaku. Calvert-Lewin, his stats are amazing for someone who's been out injured for a couple of weeks. So there are definitely some players that I've looked at considering as Bamford's replacement if I want a third premium striker, which I'm not even sure I do at the moment.
okay, well, let's consider if you do. Uh, Brentford, for the next 5 game weeks, they play West Ham away, then Chelsea and Leicester at home, Burnley and Norwich. Newcastle play Wolves away, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, and Brighton. So
Both are not
they're not
perfect fixtures.
they're not great, are they? So
No.
you mentioned that you would consider maybe, I'm assuming, downgrading to like a 4.5
Yeah.
striker player
Yeah. Put a 4.5 in, just put them on the bench and go stronger in midfield for a while.
in midfield or in defense.
Well, yeah. Well, that depends as well.
Because you could, let's say, if you took out
Does that?
Bamford,
Yeah.
then you get a 4.5 striker. You'd have 3.4 in the bank. Plus, I think you have point something in the bank as well.
0.4, I think, or something now. Yeah.
Then you said you were mentioning taking out Shaw. Shaw comes out the team.
Yeah.
You get a City defender, and then next
Hmm.
week you still have enough money to get a Chelsea defender, and you'd have leftover money to the next week to get maybe another one if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Chelsea and Man City defenders are definitely on my radar at the moment.
Sure. Anyway, let's look at the fixtures. Game week 7 to 11. Top of the fixtures are Chelsea, Leeds, Arsenal, and Southampton, as well as Norwich. Bottom are United, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Brighton, and Man City. We've mentioned that we're probably going to be loading up on Chelsea very soon. I have two Leeds players at the moment, and Arsenal in seemingly good form at the moment. Are they worth a punt from this game week onwards?
I'm definitely keeping Saka as my punt. I think he's a player to watch. I think he makes stuff happen. Uh, if you have the money and you want to take a risk on Aubameyang, and Aubameyang is in form, he's such a good player,
He's
such a good striker.
he's exceptional, right?
So good. I used to be so impressed when he first came to the Premier League. I thought he was exceptional, man.
Glad you got it right.
Throwback Tuesday.
um, yeah, he's a good option, I'd say, at least for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. And again,
If
then
he
if you,
hits form,
yeah, and he's cheap as well. He's dropped in price a good at least 2 or 3 times, I think.
yeah,
Definite differential.
he's a
Um,
huge differential.
looking at the other fixtures, though, we mentioned Aston Villa getting slightly better. Looking at
Yeah,
their fixtures, they play Tottenham, then they play Wolves, Arsenal, West Ham, and Southampton. Those aren't bad if you're going to consider a defender.
and it's a perfect time to play Tottenham because they just seem to be on some downward spiral. Wolves,
Don't,
we
don't
don't know with
score.
Wolves, right? They
Wolves,
don't score.
they score like 1 or 2 goals max.
Yeah, so that's potentially good from a defensive point of view. Watford, I think Watford are not great to be honest. So,
Wouldn't touch them.
oh, they
Burnley,
didn't play Watford. Sorry, they play West Ham. Sorry.
oops. Oh, yeah, yeah, they play West Ham at home.
No,
If you were me, would you keep Sofal? He plays Brentford, Everton, Tottenham, Villa, and Liverpool.
no. Why would
Considering
I keep? No.
considering that I have Ailing, who's plays for Leeds
Yeah.
and they're defensively bad, and he's injured,
Oh no.
and I've
If
Shaw.
my priority is, then my priority would be Ailing and Shaw. In that case, and keep Sufam and shove him on your bench.
Okay, fair enough.
But otherwise, no, I wouldn't want to keep him.
Hmm. The next slide is just a look at the game weeks from 7 to 15, so including the next international break as well. For those who, let's say, like you, who have wildcarded, and then now
Yeah.
you have to kind of like plan who your players are going to be long term, then you might want to have a look here and see who you can invest in long term. So again, long term, Chelsea, Leeds, and Newcastle have the best fixtures, and Tottenham not bad as well. Norwich we don't consider them, and
Norwich
United
don't have best fixtures.
no they don't. And at the bottom again, United still the worst until game week 15. But again, if you're just owning Ronaldo, that might be okay. Watford, Everton, Palace all have very bad fixtures. Brentford too. So I think long term, if you're going to get players, again, Chelsea and Leeds would be good options. I mean, now if you look at Newcastle, those fixtures over the next 8 game weeks don't look bad. So maybe like Richie, if you play him in the good games and you bench him in the not so good games, he might be a good option.
Yeah, he could rotate in and out your team. He could be a good option because they do have some good fixtures. But I don't think they have that many great ones. Tottenham, Chelsea, Crystal Palace are doing well. Brentford are doing well. Burnley are reasonable. It looks difficult for Newcastle.
Yeah, I think it looks
That's
it looks better on
difficult.
paper, but if you consider form, then I think they
Mm.
won't be. I don't think it'll be that good.
There's not many games there I look at and go, I think Newcastle are going to win this game, this game, this game. I'm thinking, apart from Norwich, I'll go triple captain that week for Newcastle.
Yeah,
Seriously, that's the only game I'm looking at where I'd say, they definitely win that game.
and Wolves, considering you have double Wolves over the next 8 game weeks,
Not much longer.
they don't look too bad. But okay, yeah, not much
That's the
longer.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I've been patient with Traore, and I feel like do I keep that going because I got other priorities in my team. I've got Shaw and I've got Bamford, and we just talked about Newcastle. What a perfect fixture for him to finally show some muscle and score a goal.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, is it?
I think it might be worth the risk. I think I would, to be fair.
It's worth the risk. It's definitely. There's no way I'm going to take a -8 to get him out my team when he has a good fixture. So
Yeah. Anyway,
and Ronaldo, of course, Ronaldo would just. It doesn't matter. He can have the worst fixtures in the world. I think he'll score.
it's whether you would want, surely, even as a Ronaldo owner, looking at this, if you don't have wild card. So looking at this, if you keep him for the Everton game, that's fine because it's at home. And then it's Leicester away, which they're much better at home than they are away. So if you're going to sell him, then you're going to sell him after this week, right? Because you can get Lukaku, who has the best fixtures until game week 15, and you save money.
But I still think Lukaku has better fixtures. He's cheaper, but I still trust. I still think Ronaldo will score more.
And he's a flat
I
track
could be
bully.
wrong. I know, but he
He's,
can
he's
do what
playing
he wants.
Brentford, Norwich, Southampton, Burnley, and Steve Bruce, who is faster than Saint Maximin.
I was about to say that too. Steve Bruce is faster than you would believe. Steve Bruce, when he wants to move, he can move.
Yeah,
He was quite a quick player back in his day for Man United,
very quick. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth
Yeah,
considering selling him.
it's definitely worth it, and I'd probably keep Ronaldo for Everton and potentially. Oh, Leicester's tricky. It's like Brentford or Leicester.
You were talking about team value earlier and how much he has skyrocketed since he's joined the league.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
okay, considering the fact that he blanked this weekend against
yeah.
a good team, what happens if he blanks this weekend against Everton?
But I don't think it's reason to panic. If how often has Ronaldo blanked in 2 games in a row in his career? It's not often, is it?
No, it's true, but considering the fact that he then plays Liverpool, Tottenham, Man City, and sure, it's good not to panic you personally, but think about the community. Everyone's going to see the
If the
fixtures
community,
and sell him,
yeah.
most
I
likely.
mean, if I see that everyone in their drones is just trading him for Lukaku, then I'll probably say, I need to get on that train. I'm on the platform. I've got my bags packed. Let's get on. Because obviously, I want to keep that value. I don't want to lose it. And if I go to Lukaku, I'm saving a lot. And then hopefully Lukaku's price will go up with those amazing fixtures too.
I guarantee you will.
Yeah. So in that case, that's tactical nuance, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's look at the predictions for this week. I'll go first. Man United Everton, perfect way to start considering the conversation. I think,
Yeah.
nah, Ronaldo will score. 2
Yeah.
2-0. No, 2-1
No.
United.
I was going to say challenge. They're going to concede it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's Manchester United 2-1 as well. I think Ronaldo will score. I think he'll just score the 1 goal, and I think Everton will get a goal too.
Next,
Burnley
Burnley
Norwich.
Norwich.
Wow, what this has got to be the most exciting fixture we've seen in weeks. I'm going to say Burnley 1-0.
If there was ever a game where I thought that Chris would score a hat trick, it would be this
It's
one.
here, man.
Yeah. 3-0 Burnley.
3-0. Oh man, that
Chelsea,
wood is getting you all excited.
it is. Chelsea, Southampton. I am going 2-0 Chelsea.
I'm shocked you're only going 2-0 because I was going to say it's going to be a rugby score or something. I'm gonna keep it down to earth. The Saints go marching nowhere. It's 3-0 Chelsea.
Ooh, that's modest. Okay,
It's quite modest, right?
fair. Leeds, Watford. What do you think?
Oh, wow. Leeds have some problems. Watford, SARS on fire. I'm going to go Leeds' misery is going to continue. I'm going to say Watford 1-0.
Eesh.
Unless Dan James comes firing out. But no, I don't see it.
He got subbed at, I think he got subbed at half time this weekend because I think he had the worst. I think he touched the ball twice in the first half.
He needs to go back to the championship, man. He's so good in the championship.
It's just funny to imagine that he 45 minutes and you touch the ball twice.
Didn't they pay 45 million for him as well? So they were like 1 million a minute or something.
Yeah. I think Rafinha, I'm just going to back Rafinha again. 1-0 Rafinha goal. Wolves,
What if
Newcastle.
Rafinha's injured?
If Bamford and Rafinha are both injured, then I'm going to back a Watford win.
Yeah, okay. Because that's potentially.
Yeah. Wolves and Newcastle, I think Wolves win this 1-0. Traore goal.
Yeah, I think Wolves have to eventually score. I'm going to say, like a bus, they're going to score. It's two going to come at once. Wolves 2-1. I think Newcastle will score. So 2-1.
Okay. Brighton and Arsenal, the main event of Saturday. The battle of the top
Yeah, I
four.
think, yeah, Brighton are absolutely flying, not just because they're Seagulls, and Arsenal are doing great as well. And so it's really difficult. But when you look at the Arsenal team, they have some true quality. And if Aubameyang comes through as the exceptional player that he is, I can't see anything but Arsenal winning. I'll say Arsenal 2-1.
I think this will be low scoring. Brighton in good form, Arsenal in good form. I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw.
Ooh, Seagulls flying high, man.
Yeah, get shot down and crash into the Arsenal.
By the Gunners.
Yeah. Crystal Palace, Leicester. I'm going to, tough one. I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be boring. I'm going to say Crystal Palace are in good form. Leicester have great players. So I'm going to say 1-1 as well.
Spurs Villa.
This is also tough, isn't it? Aston Villa
Mm.
having a great time. Spurs are not doing well, but again, they have Kane and they have Son, and at some point, something has to connect with them. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to say this is a 1-1.
2-0 Spurs. Kane brace. West Ham, Brentford. Potential captaincy here.
Yeah, Brentford are doing well. West Ham are doing pretty well. I'm going to say I'm going with the Hammers. I think West Ham will win. It's a home game. Do I think they'll win by a lot? Yeah, maybe 2. I'll let Brentford score 2-1.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well, but for maybe a slightly different reason. Europa League this week. I'm not sure who West Ham play, but again, I don't think. Well, I hope that Antonio won't play, but if he does, I might change my mind on captaincy. And I think they'll
Yeah, West
concede.
Ham have to be careful. They
Mm,
might get stung.
they will.
It's Brentford and the bees. You get it.
Hopefully, they can use their irons and smash the bees. I say also 2-1. Hopefully, a Benrahma goal this time. And the main event of the weekend, Liverpool Man City, hoping for an exciting game. And I'm hoping for a Salah goal, although I think it's going to be tight again. So 1-1.
That's
What do you
boring, man.
what do you think? What
That
4
is so boring.
4 all?
Manchester City, Liverpool at Anfield, and you're saying 1-1. That's such a cop out.
It well remember
I'm
they've
on
got
fire.
you are Man
I'm
City
on fire, man.
Man City have conceded 5 shots on target. So I'm giving Liverpool a
Yeah,
goal, which is fair.
I'll be honest. It's concerning for me because I've got Jota, I've got Salah. I don't think Jota will score. I think Trent will concede. I think Man City are going to go to Anfield and they're going to win. I think Liverpool are going to struggle 2-1.
Wow, that's really going to put a stamp on their title credentials then. City if they're going to win it
Yeah,
at both Chelsea and
yeah,
Liverpool consecutive weeks.
yeah. I just think Man City are doing so well, man. So sorry, Liverpool.
Fair enough. Let's look at your team for this week.
I
You have
hope Liverpool don't lose.
yeah, you have one free transfer and zero point 0.5 in the bank. What are you
Yeah.
what are you
Ooh, I've
most
got
likely to do?
0.5. Well, my priorities are between Bamford and Shaw. I think I'll probably move Shaw on, look towards a potential defender from Chelsea or Man City, and I think I might get rid of Bamford for a cheap third striker, so I can afford a better defender. I think that's what I'm going to do.
I should say for those who are watching the stream, this is his team from last week, so the fixtures are wrong, and Calvert-Lewin is still there, which should be Antonio. My bad. Did not update that
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
Yeah. So okay, you would consider that. Which are you most likely to do? Just get the defender or get them both out and
I
save the
think
money?
I think yeah, I think it's going to be my first hit of the season. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards a -4. I've been quite good, quite patient this season, so I think Bamford and Shaw possibly both will be leaving. I'm going to wait until the last minute this time because if someone comes out and says Bamford is fit, it changes everything.
Mm.
I don't think it will happen, but
Would you consider not selling Shaw this week if he's fit against Everton at home?
no.
Cons-
Oh, maybe.
I mean, look at your other defenders.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
Williams. Williams plays. We just said that they were going to lose Burnley, and
yeah,
Wolves. We said are playing Newcastle. So you're going to play Marcel. You're going to play
yeah,
Trent, who's probably going to concede against
mm,
City.
yeah. Well, I've got Livramento there as well.
Livermore plays Chelsea.
Yeah, he's gonna keep a clean sheet.
Blind faith in him.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This week, defensively, I don't have much hope. That's why Shaw is one of the players on the chopping block. It could be no. I'm gonna keep the other players, even though they have terrible fixtures.
It's a tough week if you look at it from that perspective. Like you just said, that defensively you could
Yeah,
have a bad week, but if you're going to go by based on what you said about your predictions, then you have Jota and Salah in midfield, who
yeah.
this could be a bad game week, especially if Ronaldo blanks.
It's yeah. I'm not expecting a good game week. Let's be real. Antonio and Ronaldo are there to save me.
Plea and a Traore.
I'm just begging everybody has a bad game week because most people don't have City players. Most people have Salah and Jota, and I'm not enthusiastic about this game week.
Who are you
My
captaining
defense is going to get slapped up. I mean, probably Ronaldo.
against Everton?
Or Antonio against Brentford. It's a flip of the coin.
No love for Salah.
Absolutely not. You think I'm absolutely crazy? It's Manchester City.
True. Okay.
Statistically, I don't think it's with Salah. I do think he could make something happen. He seems to do that a lot, but no, I'm not that brave, man.
All right. Okay. Looking at my team, I have 2 free transfers and 0 in the bank. So at the moment, I'm lining up with Sanchez, Sofel, Trent, Semedo, Benrahma, Salah, Rafinha, Jota, Antonio, Dennis, and Lukaku. And he's currently my captain. On my bench, I have Shaw, Torres, and Ailing. I mentioned why I'm keeping Torres because he's got a good run in the next 3 game weeks. And
Mm.
Ailing's kind of injured and leaves a bad defensively. Shaw has been Shaw. So I'm considering two, either one transfer this week or two, and then the opposite next week. And the idea is to get a Chelsea defender and a City defender. It just depends on which I decide to do. And spoiler alert, I have already used both my free transfers. You,
Well, you can't leave us hanging. This
it,
isn't a reality TV show. You can't roll the credits. Tell us.
it's not currently
People are
on.
listening to this stream.
It's not on. It's not
For
on the
your
screen.
information.
But
Just tell us, bro.
any idea who I've decided to bring in?
Well, I didn't even know. You just drop a bombshell on me, and then any idea who I brought? No, I don't. I haven't a clue.
Who's most likely?
Probably a Manchester. Or give us a clue. Which team is it?
I'll give you a clue. All 11 of my players currently are playing
Yeah.
home this week. So
Playing home.
they're playing at home. Yeah. So
Okay, so it's
currently,
not Man City. Are Chelsea playing at home? Chelsea are playing at home. You brought in a Chelsea player. You've brought in a Formula One Alonso to your team, have you?
potentially. And
Come on, don't give us all this. Let's not be tiptoeing around now, Challenge.
okay, fair enough. I have
Listen, if you subscribe to Challenge podcast, just unsubscribe now. It's not going to tell you anything.
I have taken Shaw out this, and I've taken Ailing out, and I've brought in Rudiger and Livramento.
There
Livramento
you
has,
go, people.
yeah,
He brought in Livramento.
Livramento's got good fixtures going forward, I should
Does.
say, and I have money in the bank to move Sofel next week to potentially someone else that could either be a Man City defender if something happens to Jota, for example, or I want to drop Dennis, or I could get a Newcastle or Aston Villa defender who will rotate out the team. Yeah,
I said earlier in the stream, if you were to take out two defenders, it would be Shaw and Ailing. And look,
yeah,
you did that.
exactly.
Just listen to Leighton, even
I,
though I'm doing worse than you.
the other option would have been to take Sofel and Shaw out and bring in a Chelsea and City defender in immediately, but City
Well, that would
play
have been good, eh?
City play Liverpool this week, so I was like, nah. I
Yeah.
fancy Sofel against Brentford, so I'll keep him.
Yeah, I genuinely would back a West Ham player against Brentford more than I would a City player against Liverpool. Especially when you have Salah. Do you have Jota on your team?
Yes, I do.
You do. Yeah, man. Don't. Yeah, you wouldn't come Man City.
But I think if Jota's going to be rotated soon, I think, so he's going to be on the chopping block.
He's on the chopping block.
Mm,
Oh,
terrible.
we are connected, my friend.
Okay, let's have a look at our social medias, and then we can go home and you can go to bed. Yay.
Thanks, Daddy.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FanChallenged. On YouTube, you can subscribe to us, Fantasy Challenged, one word, or listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else you may listen to them. On that note, anything else you want to say, Leighton? Besides good
Good
night.
night.
Okay.
Good luck in the next game week, and see you next week.
All right. Good night and good luck for the game week, everyone. Wait to make those transfers before the European games, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everyone.